What's up, friends and fam? Good morning, and my fellow DIYers. Welcome to our Kisa Garage again. Today I'm doing my neighbor's 2005 Honda Odyssey. I'm replacing power steering hose, or the higher pressure power steering hose on the top that goes to the power steering. The parts that you need, I just pick it up from local auto parts. These are the part number 13401200. And also you need a power steering fluid. These are the brand, also at O'Reilly. You can use most of the power steering, but I rather use the power steering that formulated from Honda, because Honda, they want you to use a specific power steering fluid. So the chemicals that you're looking for, it's right here, PN22442. So this one are, qualified for Honda and Acura. You can use any kind, but just in case you don't want to go back and then make a cost problem, because some of the power steering are too thick. These are not that thick, the viscosity. Alright, I'm gonna show you the problem. Here's the power steering hose over here. So this is your power steering pump, and then this is the high pressure. Most of the common problem with this is the rubber, so mostly it leaks on underneath. I'm gonna start the car, and then you'll see where's the leak coming from. You get moisture, and then the fluid will start to leak, even from here. There's this one right here. So now I'm gonna take up this intake box. First, I'm going to remove this wire from throttle position. Cut this thing first. This is 8. And then you have one more all the way back here. And then this part right here are 10, and you need to take up this part. Before I take up this intake hose, I have to clamp this small hose down here, because these hoses are connected for coolant. As much as possible, I don't want to spill coolant. This one right here, it's the small coolant hose. So just put that on the way. Now just take up the whole intake box, so you have more space. And then the first thing I'm gonna take up is that one right here. This is the, if you see from the right here, this one right here is your power steering hose line. So it's high. Some people, they take it from here, from the top. That's why they take up the intake box. But for me, first I'm gonna loosen it from the bottom. I'm gonna jack up the car, because I have the crowfoot. So now I'm gonna go underneath to disconnect the power steering flare nut. This is the crowfoot socket, and then 3/8 extension. This is 3/8 by the way, and then this 3/8. It's better to get a locking one. so it's more easier, it doesn't pop out. And then from the bottom, once you loosen the player nut from the power steering line, there's a pressure switch, or there's a pressure sensor that you have to disconnect, and then there's a bracket from it. Okay, so once I take up the power steering hose, I'm gonna show you what it looks like. So once you loosen the nut underneath, I'm trying to take up the nut from upstairs, but it's kind of hard to get it from underneath. So you can use this one, the angle one. So you're not gonna damage because you already loosened the nut. So now I changed. I thought I'm gonna have easy access from the angle one, but I'm wrong. So luckily I have the stubby one. So it's more useful when you have tight spaces. So I'm gonna take the flare nut from the stubby one. So now I already take up the nut. Now I'm going to take a couple of brackets, 3 brackets that's holding the power steering line right here. I'm gonna go underneath again. The last part is there's a bracket on the upper side right here, and then there's a 2 bracket underneath. So the bracket is right here. And then, by the way, I'm using 10mm magnetic because you don't want to drop the bolt, small tiny bolts. 10mm, it's a 10 mil. So invest all your money from those kind of sockets that save your time and headache. So you see that this is magnetic one. These are the magnets. So I got this one, and then this is the bracket. So now we are almost there. So few more steps. Take out these 2 nuts right here, 2 bolts that holding your pressure line from the power steering pump that connected to it. So these are the 2 bolts that holding your power steering line on your power steering pump. So now gently pull off. Then you have all your fluids. Then gently taking up the power steering hose underneath. And here we go. So this is the whole high pressure power steering line. So it oriented like this. So from the top, and then the power steering pump. So the upper bracket right here, there's the bushings, 2 small ones on the bottom that hold the metal line, and then the hose line, right, the rubber line on the top. So this is your high pressure sensor for the power steering fluid. So the nut from this are 17. The counter square are 18. And it's always save you some time and headache if you have this skinny wrench, because this is tight spot. Okay. So transfer the old one to the new one, the pressure line, the pressure sensor. So the nut from here are 17, and then the square right here, the counter is 18. So 18 and 17. So this is the skinny wrench. It's always good to have one of this. It will save you some time and edit. So now the newer one, always match it just in case it's not gonna cost you anything. The aftermarket is gonna design different, but it will function all the same. So right here, the bend are all the same. It's right here. The difference is right here. That's the counter nut, and then the style are different because aftermarket is not original, but it function all the same. So when you're changing the new one, it always comes with this, with the O-rings, and then the bushings. Always change it, and then you have to change the O-ring too from the pressure line. I have to double check. I know it comes with it, the O-rings. So the package always comes with the O-rings. They always comes with the O-ring. So this is the pressure sensor. So just change that. You have the picks, much better. So always compare. I know they're all the same. So the newer one, just put the O-ring. So take off the old one, just compare both of them. They're all the same size right here. So just put it in. Here, and then the orientation of the bushing also. So here's the orientation of the aftermarket one, or the new power steering pump. Get this one right here, this one. Then install your pressure switch. I'm just trying to lube them up, really, just a small loop, so it doesn't pinch your new O-ring gasket. So I lube the O-ring just in case you don't want to come back, and if you're doing it from your job, you don't want any comebacks, and especially if you're sideline. So just lube it up so it doesn't get pinched or stuck up, or it get ripped off the O-ring. So now I'm gonna put everything back. Don't forget your two brackets. Just already put the brackets from here. So I'm just gonna put it underneath. So here you just snake through it. Slowly going down. Because they are easily get cut up. Okay, so that's enough. I'm just gonna go underneath slowly. So if you see from here, this is your line, new one. So these are the pressure line. So now everything, leave it set up here. So I'm just gonna go upstairs and bolt one of the bracket. So now I tighten the flare nut on the bottom, and then tighten this one too. There's a torque for this one, the bolts from here for the power steering, but you can do is hand tight, because I don't know what's the torque for this one, because it's hard to find on Google. Sometimes they give you like 10-inch pound or 15 foot-pounds. You can just like hand tight, you know when it's tight. And then don't forget to put all the hose line. The hose from here, it's connected with the coolant, because the coolant goes routed from this, and I think this still goes to the throttle position sensor to warm up the throttle position sensor. So put the intake hose, put the air box. So now I'm done with the put everything back, the intake hose, the intake back, intake hose, the coolant hose. So now before you start, you have to put your power steering fluid, so you know, to lessen, to burn out your power steering pump. Since this one has been leaking for a couple of weeks, so all the fluids are off. And then to bleed this one, you just have to turn the steering. I'll show you how it works. So now you have to turn your steering wheel all the way in, all the way out, just to get you all the fluids and stuff. Now you have to turn all the steering wheel all the way in to circulate all the power steering fluids. So that's how you do it. So the first one, you just take it out, the nut, the flare nut, 3 brackets, the pressure sensor, and then 2 bolts from the power steering pump on the upstairs. And then you have to take out the intake box, air filter, and then intake duct, and also the coolant hose that goes through your throttle position sensor. And then you just have to do the reverse procedure. Make sure everything is okay, there's no leak. Double check everything. When you start the car, before you start the car, fill up the power steering reservoir first, and then turn your steering wheel to circulate all the fluids, and then start, and then turn your steering wheel again to circulate all the fluids, and then check for the leak. So, and then that's it. Probably about like an hour and a half. It depends how you work on it. If it's on the driveway, it takes a couple of hours. So don't rush, especially with the flare nut, because it's easy to strip that one. You need the special tools for that, so you don't mess up the job that you have. And then double check with the leaks, and then connect all the sensors and stuff. So I hope this video helped you a lot. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe.